ebi ń pa. Ṣé statistics yẹn ṣó right? Ẹ̀gbọ́n mi dizzy man 1 2 3 mo kí ẹ brother mi lóde. Ẹ̀gbọ́n mi lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí, out of 70 million Yorùbá tó ń bẹ nílé ni mò ń sọ ní gbogbo ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Mo dẹ̀ ti mú àwọn Yorùbá tó tún bẹ ní òkè ọya níbi bí north, àwọn tó wà nílẹ̀ Yíbò jọra láwọn tó ń bẹ nílẹ̀ Yíbò tó dẹ̀ ń bẹ ní northern part àti middle belt, gbogbo wọn pátá àtàwọn tó wà nílé. Mo ka àwa diaspora táwa ní African countries bí a ní Benin ló wà ní Togo, Liberia ní Sierra Leone, Libya, mo kà yín mọ́ wọn. Mo dẹ̀ ka yín tẹ́ wà ní Asia àti Europe. 60 million Yoruba people. Mo kí ìjà dóye, mo kí Isa, mo kí brother mi bàbá wa Ọlálékan, mo kí wọ̀nyí tẹ́ ń bẹ ní ìlú Èkìtì. Now ṣó wá da pé káwa kan tí a ti rí òtítọ́ káwa dákẹ́, ká má wo àwọn èèyàn wa tí ìyà ń jẹ, nídìí tí a ṣe ń pè fún pé kí Yorùbá dá dúró nìyẹn. Kò ṣe pé à ń jáde, mo kí ẹ spark, kò ṣe pé ó wù wá bí a ṣe ń jẹ yín, kò ṣe pé ó wù wá bí wọ́n ṣe ń fìyà jẹ yín nílé. Mo kí àwa Jọkẹ́ Tadé, mo fi kíkí tèmi kí Gani Olóyèdé. Bí ẹ ṣe ń wọlé, ẹ bá gbọ́wọ́lé share button. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan láti sọ láti bí ọdún 5, kò sí nǹkan kan tá tó fẹ́ sọ mọ́ tó jẹ́ tuntun, àfi tabakọ̀ di tó jẹ́ repetitive. Ẹni tó bá wá níbi tí ilẹ̀ fi ṣú dé nírọ̀lẹ́ torí pé aago 4 òun ni ó fẹ́ lù níbi tí mo ti ń transmit. Aago 4 náà dẹ̀ ní nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tó ṣì wà ní within Africa. Ẹni tó bá wá ń sọ pé mo kí bàbá mi ní gbogbo South Africa, mo kẹ́yìn tẹ́ ń bẹ ní Kenya, mo kí brother wa John Boko. Táwa bá ní 10 million bá wà okay, ṣé ká wà concern about the 60 million tó kù àbí ká kọ̀ neglect wọn? Ẹ jẹ́ ká wò báyìí, ṣé kí Yorùbá dá dúró? If 60 million out of 70 million are hungry, that is about 85%. I am sure more than 90% are suffering. Ẹ ṣé gan ni, ẹ mọ̀ pé mi ò lọ sí school. Ìyẹn náà mo ṣe máa ń tap brain àwọn tí mo mọ̀ pé wọ́n ní education background tó pọ̀. Kò dẹ̀ ṣe pé mi náà fi kàwé púpọ̀, àmọ́ ìwé tí mo kà ní UK ní 27 years, òun náà ni freedom tí mo rí, tí mo dẹ̀ fi wà òkè títí di wákàtí. Kọ́lọ́n túbọ̀ fún gbogbo wa ní àlàáfíà. Ẹ ṣé gan ni brother mi Safety Domain, ẹ dẹ̀ ṣe fún super chat. Wọ́n ní tí 60 million out of 70 million are hungry, that is about 85%. Mo kí ẹ Yorùbá Nation Lafẹ́ TV ní gbogbo Hong Kong, ìlú tí mo sì mi ti ná dáadáa nígbà tí wọ́n ń tago. Mo ti sọ ní many times, 1980 ni mo sì mi ti ná Hong Kong, ibẹ̀ lọ ti lọ́ọ́ rago tá à ń supply àwọn èèyàn ní gbogbo mọ́ṣáláṣí Jímọ̀ kankan yẹn as a wholesale. Dizzy man náà sọ pé 85 million people face acute starvation tó bá máa fi di 2028, and the figure today is already 30 million. People are facing starvation in Nigeria according to global think tank, and evidence it is show gẹ́gẹ́ bí report tó jáde lénìí. Ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ sọ́dọ̀ Channel Television kí n sáré kà fún wa ní kíákíá. comment tó ń wọlé à ń kà á ẹ bá wa máa fi sí inú comment section. Ìdòwú Ẹniafẹ́ni, the statistic is right. Mr. Koiki, 60 by 70% ni even all the small scale businesses has closed down due to Nigeria economic crunch. The least thing tíyàn lè tà ní Nigeria ò ní pé kò kọ̀ sí shop síwájú ilé ẹ̀ kò ní kíyàwó ẹ̀ kọ̀ máa ta petty things. Kí ni wọ́n ń pè ní petty things? Bóyá most of this sachet product mo fẹ́ kẹ́ mọ in tó wà ń bẹ̀ ni torí àpolówó fún wọn. Many Nigerians today, great Yoruba nation, mo kí yín. Let me give you this as an example. Mo gbélé dé láti UK ni. Nestle wake up milkshake strawberry flavour. Látijọ́ tí mo ti gbé dé, mo rò pa tí ì ṣe. Many Nigerians as of today, all time beauty, ẹ ṣé gan ni, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn lè mọ́wọ́ lọ sẹ́nu mọ́. Many household nílé ní Nigeria lénìí, whether it's Yoruba land, South East, wọ́n lè ra container kan báyìí pé kọ́ wá máa bò nínú ẹ̀, kọ́ máa fi ṣe kíni, kọ́ máa fi serve àwọn family wọn, regardless of whatever it is. Forget about whatever the content of this, whether it is milk, whether it is Milo. So what they have done in Nigeria is created this sachet. So almost everything, into mofino glasses milele. So almost everything now is in sachet, even toothpaste. Even toothpaste. Conflicts tí mo gbé dé, ẹ rí pé mo ti ṣe. I just purposely thought nígbà tí mo wà nílé mo prefer kí n mu ògì than kí n tún máa mu conflicts, but just ìjọ mi kọ́ lè wà tó kọ̀ fẹ́ wúyàn jẹ. So it shows that, and I've showed you a couple of things just within an household. So these are what we called ẹni tó wà in the middle class. Èmi ò ń ṣe olówó tó pọ̀. And what do I mean by that? I can classify myself as a middle class, even within the UK as a stand. I am in the middle class bracket because mo lè fún family mi, mo lè bọ́ family mi kó jẹun lẹ́ẹ̀mẹ́ta, even with the support of the government. Èèyàn sì gbọ́dọ̀ ṣiṣẹ́ takuntakun nílùú òyìnbó. Gbogbo pé wọ́n ní welfare system wà ní abroad, o sì ní láti work hard. Reason ta kò ṣe wá extra work hard ni pé láti fi support àwọn èèyàn wa nílé. Òun ló ń jẹ́ kí gbogbo wa tètè máa weak. Ọlọ́run tó kọ̀ kẹwa gẹ́gẹ́ bí aláwọ̀ tó da, àwọ̀ wa da gan, kò ń jẹ́ káwọn èèyàn tètè mọ̀ pé a ti gbó. Tó bá rí àwọn ìyá wa ní abroad, tó bá sọ fún ẹ pé lòmíì age wọn, and most of them, not everybody, I know this, at to reduce age wa ká tó dá abroad. I didn't do that. A lot of our people have done so. So by the time tó máa fi dé abroad, tó ti cut age wọn, wọ́n máa ṣiṣẹ́ extra hard for another 10 years kó tó lè gba pension wọn. Ibẹ̀ kọ́ ni mo fẹ́ lò lénìí. But notwithstanding, worship fún wọn ní privilege and opportunity láti lè fi ṣiṣẹ́. Kódà ẹni tó jẹ́ pé fún dikun àbí dikejì kò níwèé, ó sì náwọn kankan tó máa ń ṣe tọ́lọ́run bá tẹ̀tú wá kẹ́ wọn tó mọ ṣe ọwọ́ tó lè máa fi pọwọ́ dà, tó jẹ́ pé in and out kò kọ̀ báyọ̀ nulẹ̀ bí wọ́n fẹ́ dín gúgúrú ni wọ́n fẹ́ dín ẹ̀pà ní nǹkan kan, ó yẹ yín. But abroad kọ́ la fi ń ṣe iMac. Ẹ jẹ́ ká padà sí channels. Ìrun APRI ló ń pè yẹn. Ọdún méjì from today tí a bá rescue ara wa, mo like máa lo èdè pé a fẹ́ rescue àwọn tó wà nílé. Kò sẹ́ni kankan tó rescue anybody. Èmi náà fẹ́ rescue ara mi because tí bá lọ gbélé nísìn pé on a normal level kí n kó lọ sílé kí n lọ gbé níjẹ̀bú òde. I can live quietly there, but I will lack a lot of things, even with my expertise and skills. Tí mo lè fi make owó, màá sì struggle within Nigeria as a diaspora tó padà wá sílé. How many people agree with that? Kò ń ṣe pé diaspora tó make owó sí ní Nigeria as of today, but the chances are very, very slim. We are all going to rescue ourselves. Nobody is rescuing anybody. A diaspora ló máa gbà wálẹ̀, gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn is àwáwí ni. Ìwọ máa ṣiṣẹ́ débẹ̀, èmi máa ṣiṣẹ́ débẹ̀, àwa join force, àwa dodindi, àwa knock it down. Mo fẹ́ lọ fọwọ́ gbá kínní sórí ẹ̀mọ́. Tá bá ń ṣe analysis àwa ìran Yorùbá, I think East Africa, a máa ń di ọwọ́. Ẹ má bínú ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ̀ ṣe struggle pẹ̀lú internet wa. Like I said, mo ti san deposit for another internet. Ó yẹ kó ṣe lánàá, àárín wọn lánàá, àdẹ̀gbọ́n kankan lẹ́nu, so mo pè bí a Monday wá rectify ẹ̀. Tàbárẹ̀ ní tó fi reimburse wa padà. Èyí tá à ń lò ó sì last wa fún 1 month, but à ń struggle pẹ̀lú ẹ̀. And a dẹ̀ fi make sure pé tá bá ń ṣe program kò ní sí disruption. So ẹ lè send the safer sí ni direct. Bó dẹ̀ pé náírà náà ni a máa gbà lọ́wọ́ yín. Tó bá dẹ̀ pé inú pounds account mi náà ni ó wà acceptable. Let's come back. And the reason why we are saying this, I know some of you might be like, kí ló dé tó yẹ pé gbogbo gbàlá máa ní ànídòwó. I have told you, we don't rely on the fund on the social media because it's not kò tẹ̀ tó kankan. Ìyàwó mi sọ pé ó ṣe jórí social media lòun ti ń gbọ́ pé mo gba £160 lórí YouTube. Ẹ̀rọ àwọn ìyá wa. Gbogbo tí mo ṣe lánàá ní program ìyẹn nìkan ló gbọ́ dáadáa. Nígbà táwa jọ dé ibi tá a ti fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀, oyè yín wọ́n ní tẹ̀ sọ fún wa pé wọ́n ti sanwó fún yín. Nítorí ó mọ̀ pé kóun náà yẹ kí n náwó sóhun níbẹ̀. Bówó yẹn dẹ̀ ṣe ń wọlé. Wàláì ó ti lọ, kò káǹkà kan. Ṣé £160 lówó gbéyàn gbọ́wó lórí YouTube for the whole month? Gbogbo super chat tó ń fún wa tẹ́ ń rí yẹn nísìn £30 yẹn nísìn, YouTube máa yọ bí maximum £30 yẹn nísìn, wá yọ tó £12 nínú ẹ̀. Àwọn ló ní platforms wọn, but we are still grateful fáwọn tó ń fún wa because it encourage and also support the channel. But the whole month mo lè send ẹ síta kẹrí. Èmi ò ṣe pé àwọn kan gbà jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ every month, but adébíyá wọ́n lè sọ fún yín wọ́n lè sọ fún yín, I don't know. But what I was paid yesterday was £160. Lóòótọ́ ìwọ tó wà Nàìjíríà máa sọ pé it's a lot of money, but kódà tó bá yẹ pé mo ń drive ní London ni kò tó owó insurance mi, even though I'm not driving. So ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ má fi wá sílẹ̀. Like I said, we are adding more to what we are doing. Our staff were, most importantly, I have upgraded every one of them. I think I have about few more, so that internet services won't see at a router for or cheaper for me that way. We didn't know that way before because tobacco internet and because the funding was there, it was easy for me just to send it. But I now thought, working forward and especially rallying bulk, we want to have a nice package that is on that. So internet will be will be rectified, and hopefully we will not have these YouTube you can't scroll because the pressure is too much on the one I'm using right now. More Nigerians will fall into poverty by 2027 according to the World Bank. More Nigerians expected to fall into poverty. Tí World Bank ò bá tẹ̀ sọ fún wa, ṣẹ̀rí internet ti shut down, Twitter mi náà ní sí, so I have to start it again. So it's a very terrible situation, but hopefully by Monday, tọ́ba ti wá ṣe ní ọ̀wọ̀n yẹn, I'll relieve the pressure there. Tí World Bank ò bá tẹ̀ sọ fún wa, now, kí ló fa poverty nínú Nigeria? Why are we currently facing poverty in Nigeria? Talole, help me out. Why is poverty? Enter our Instagram. We're few seconds. I'm going to come back to Batilo. Why do we have poverty in Nigeria today? What is the reason why there's poverty in Nigeria? Keep on for poverty. Who knows? Can anybody help us to understand the reason why we are facing a lot of poverty in Nigeria today? Taloma, reason why? Mo kàn fẹ́ ní background knowledge àwọn tó ní mọ̀ jù èmi lọ, because I will just put it under, not because of the bad leadership, is because the imperialists and the globalists do not want a future for Yoruba people. Kò ní kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú leadership. Tá bá dá dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí orílẹ̀-èdè, not that we are still not going to have relationship with all these, world power or all these organizations, but it will now be under our own terms and conditions. Right now, the current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu cannot do much. He has to go in line with whatever IMF and the World Bank is telling him. In tó bá sọ fún Tinubu ni Tinubu máa tẹ̀lé. Gbogbo tí World Bank bá jẹ́ kí Tinubu ṣe ló máa ṣe. And that does not help us as people. So the more that we are living in denial that it is because Tinubu is a bad leader, Nigeria was put together to be bad. Tinubu kan ràn lọ́wọ́ ni. Ẹ gbọ́ mi dáadáa. Nigeria was put together to fail. Tinubu kan ràn lọ́wọ́ ni. What we can do to help Tinubu is to push further. See, the YouTube is not back again. It's struggling because of the internet. Tinubu cannot do much when it comes to the current pressure from the international community, whether it is the IMF, whether it's the World Bank or the World Trade. From the beginning, ni wọ́n ti mọ̀ pé Nigeria máa fail, so that wọ́n lè control Nigeria, and they've been able to do that very well. Mo kí Ọlánìpẹ̀kun brother mi ní gbogbo Ifọ̀, mo kí bàbá wa Tèmítọ́pẹ́, mo kí Mr. Fatai Mọ́tàjọ́, mo kí brother wa Adéyẹmí Olúwọlé Gbóyèga. Wọ́n mọ̀ dájú pé if this country prosper, the tendency pé a fẹ́ kúrò nínú Africa lọ sí anywhere will not be in the picture. We will not have any reason to leave the shore of Africa bí a fi lọ gbé níta. That is number one. We will remain in those territories so that a lè máa build the territory wa. But the fact remains is that àwọn tí wọ́n amalgamate this contraction tó ń pè nílùú, they knew what they were doing. But moving forward, what do we do to end Nigeria? What do we do? Aloma vote every 4 years with the hope that changes ma wáyé. We have done that for 26 years. 1999 ni Nigeria padà sí democracy. So that means that every 4 years in the last 26 years, We have been voting and hoping that something will change. Now, Mukia Keke Okus, what one sọ fún wa nísìn pé 2027 tó ń bọ̀ kí gbogbo wa ń kọ́ ká tún lọ gbọ́n PVC wa ká tún wá vote again. My understanding is that ṣé 26 years kò wá enough Koiki Media bringing the world closer to your doorstep, 25th of April 2025 at exactly 16:23. That means 4:30. Agomeni abofilo worship kí Astrid Tony ní Friday lórí kan wa nínú studio wa ní VN tí ń jáde. Gbogbo ẹnikẹ́ni tó bá VN pàdé ẹ bá wa make sure pé ẹ pín káàkiri. In tí mo fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ni pé 26 years ni àwọn olóṣèlú ni wọ́n ti run Nigeria on our behalf, and we are very grateful. They have done fantastically well according to what they can do using the Nigerian template láti fi govern wa, either the federal constitution, the state constitution, the councillor, the governor, all the commissioners, past and present, Latin 1999 till date. Now, moving forward, do we still need Nigeria to continue to exist? They are to make a election in 2027. Even though 26 years, ni wọ́n fi gba budget, ni wọ́n fi ṣe many things, but could end up fún wa ní a very good life as ọmọ Yorùbá. Are there any changes? Well, when you are talking about what we have is corruption and all that, all these has already been embedded with the foundation. Òyìnbó tó kó Nàìjíríà papọ̀, ó mọ̀ pé corruption máa wà nígbà tí èdè yín ò bá yéra yín. And you will not be able to deal with that corruption because Tinubu is very corrupt as we speak right now in the last 2 years of his government. But Tabalo review Buhari for 8 years, he was also corrupt. Tabalo Jonathan for 8 years, it was also, 4 years and 2 years. Tabalo Yaradua, Tabalo Obasanjo. So then going back to the military era. So when we are talking about corruption, all these are part of the 1914 amalgamation. Kò sí corruption around the globe, but they are dealing with those corruption, and it's making it very difficult for any of those countries to be corrupt. And I can give you a country which is South Korea. We saw how the Prime Minister abused the office. The South Korea Prime Minister was impeached. Kini reason to say impeached? On the 27th of December 2024, South Korean Prime Minister and the acting president and dog was impeached. The impeachment occurred 13 days after President Yo Suk had impeached as a result of his brief enactment of martial law. So there is no way you can be talking about corruption because foundation of the build in Nigeria has already been embedded with many things that would not make it to work. So do we exist? Do we allow Nigeria to continue to exist? Or we pull it down? We pull the whole structure down. Because Teba pull structure down. What we are still maintaining is the same structure tí àwọn criminal Britain tó build láti gbé Nigeria wá síbi tí à ń rí lẹ́nìí, because Britain knew that Yoruba people would be far better off tá a bá wà embedded with Nigeria. Britain mọ̀ dájú pé tí Hausa bá wá dá dúró, they will be able to build a life for themselves and their people. Wọ́n mọ̀ pé tí Igbo bá dá dúró, they can do far better. But bringing all these three together and the rest will create all these manner of problems that you're seeing. So there's no way you can talk about corruption. We've got to talk about the root of that corruption. So the root, the genesis of the problem that we are witnessing today, there are many things that will go out of the picture if somebody else comes in. It does not matter how many people you bring on board to guide and be your governors, your president, your senators, your House of Reps. They cannot perform anything due to the fact that the corruption was part of the build-up to Nigeria in 1914. Because Britain knew that it was a corrupt system that they were already giving us. So if you have been given a corrupted system, then you don't remove that corruption by saying, oh, Tinubu no one is a bad guy. We don't like him. Okay, try Peter Obi. No, you need to pull the whole structure down. The whole structure needs to come down officially, and then we will now be able to rebuild a new system from the genesis of our roots, because roots were, according to Yoruba, as far back as 9th century, is that we have governed ourselves and we have done very well. We have done things that even àwọn òyìnbó yóò tí ṣe, by giving access to women in politics, welfare, and I'm not talking about the regional government now. I'm talking about the system that has been there prior before àwọn òyìnbó dé àtàwọn Portuguese in the 15th century. Because Portuguese ló kọ́kọ́ dé kó tó di bá àwọn Britain dé. So Britain is the biggest obstacle. So when people like us that have even have the privilege, I'm not sure whether Baba Awólọ́wọ̀ gan gbé nínú Britain, baby ṣe gbé nínú Britain. T. Majek says you can't renovate a house that is completely infested by termite. You need to tear it down. Tí termite àwọn kòkòrò yẹn bá wọnú ilé, tó bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń jẹgi yẹn, wá jẹ gbẹ débi pé tó bá careful ilé yẹn máa dàwó ẹ lórí. So ó bẹ́tà kẹ́yìn kúrò nínú ilé yẹn, kẹ́ dáwó, kẹ́ wá ṣe rebuild it back. What our politicians are telling us is that actually rebuild Nigeria where there will be love, there will be unity, and there will be peace. Those three things cannot work in Yoruba land with Nigeria. Only work with Yoruba in Ekiti and Yoruba in Ijebu. Kódà àwọn kan tẹ̀ ń disagree pé ká má lórúkọ yẹn Yoruba nítorí pé you know a ní ká kọ́kọ́ tẹ̀ pull out from the structure. Ká wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí identify báwo la ṣe fẹ́ lo orúkọ wa, orúkọ wo la fẹ́ jẹ́, kí la fẹ́ ṣe. But we need to first deal with the pull down structure of coming out of Nigeria. But Nigeria not fúnra rẹ̀ ò fẹ́ pull down o. Ẹ gbọ́ mi dáadáa o. Nigeria tẹ̀ ń rí yẹn is not ready to be pulled down. Àwọn mafia gidi, àwọn many different stakeholders do not want that structure to be pulled down. Ó wá kù àwa tí a fẹ́ kúrò nínú ẹ̀ àtàwọn ta ló máa wà superior láti pull it down. Ṣáwọn ló máa wà superior láti keep ẹ̀, àbáwá la máa wà superior láti pull it down. Eléyìí ò ṣiṣẹ́ Ìgbòho nìkan. This is far bigger than Igboho. What they know that Igboho can do is that tí Igboho bá wọ Nàìjíríà lẹ́nu nísìn, it will create the energy ó máa charge gbogbo èèyàn wọ́n mọ̀ yẹn Ìgbòho has that already tólóyè bá wọnú Nàìjíríà ìyẹn ni brother tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn lẹ́ẹ̀kan ṣe sọ pé àdúrà táwọn olóṣèlú ń gbà nísìn on a daily basis ni pé kólóyè má ní any reason kó fi wá sí Nàìjíríà because wọ́n mọ̀ pé in tó bá mú ẹni tó wà ní Kogi gbọ́ pé olóyè ti wà nínú Nàìjíríà a máa charge ní Kogi state nǹkan kan a máa pull spirit òun náà but kó tó di stage yẹn a kọ́kọ́ gbọ́dọ̀ prepare mind wa because he is our saviour right now he is the only saviour tẹ́ bá dúró de Gani Adams ìyà máa jẹ gbogbo wa torí pé Gani Adams ń sọ ní ìjẹta bí aláàánú dẹ̀ ní pépà yẹn àwọn ọmọ mi gbé ó wà nù pépà tànà pé òun bẹ bí ó ń bẹ ni o I don't know bí ó ń sọ fún wọn ni o pé kọ́ fún wa ní state police but Gani Adams mọ̀ pé state police ò lè come up tí wọ́n bá enacted nínú senate àwọn senator ò dẹ̀ fẹ́ fún yín ní state police because tó bá ti fún yín ní state police security máa wà enacted nínú gbogbo state Nàìjíríà even though pé àwọn kan máa ṣì lò gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọ́n ṣe ń sọ pé àwọn governor kan máa ṣì lò bọ̀wọ́ ìtẹ̀tí fún yín so pé a fẹ́ gba state police tí Gani Adams sọ̀rọ̀ lórí yẹn ibẹ̀ la máa jókòó sí títí tí Tinubu máa tún fi di president again ní 2027 so irú àwọn èèyàn bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn they are not ready to charge so Gani Adams ò lè charge gbogbo wa just like bí olóyè ṣe ń charge gbogbo wa but rather than Gani Adams kó fall together pẹ̀lú bàbá Kítóyè kí wọ́n wá join pẹ̀lú Ìgbòho pẹ̀lú gbogbo wa ká wá jọ charge together ó máa difficult fún government láti defeat wa ìyẹn number one brother mi bàbá wa Waris Jinadu àwọn ní the other option tó sì ń jẹ́ kí Nàìjíríà survive òun ni pé gbogbo wa ṣì ná náírà èmi náà ṣì ná náírà èyí náà ná náírà that means pé a ṣì ń fuel the country yẹn kó ṣì máa ṣiṣẹ́. The more tá a bá ná náírà the more the economic power ti Nigeria ní though the economic power yẹn kò help the average Nigerians nínú Nigeria so when World Bank is now saying that I want to review gbogbo tó ń lọ ní Nigeria tó bá jẹ́ pé yàn 40 million lè bí ń pa lẹ́nìí tó bá máa fi di 2027 ọdún méjì sísìn àwọn ti rí forecast pé ó máa di 120 million already wọ́n ní gbogbo wa ní Nigeria we are 200 million even though that figure is not right but let's work with that if 200 million people are currently in Nigeria as of today a lè sọ pé half of the people are already in abject poverty àwọn tí wọ́n lè mọ́wọ́ lọ sẹ́nu lẹ́ẹ̀mẹ́ta wọ́n wá tún jẹ́ kó yé wa pé tó bá máa fi dọdún méjì o Tinubu wọlé o kò wọlé o Atiku wọlé o kò wọlé o Peter Obi wọlé o whoever takes the power again in 2027 the figure will rise again. World Bank noted that the sub-Saharan Africa has the highest extreme poverty rate globally. Ní gbogbo Africa pátá Nàìjíríà ló gba òun ló gba ẹ̀fẹ́ number 1 níbi tí ebi ti ń pààyàn jù láyé tí ọmọ Yorùbá náà wà nínú ẹ̀. With the large share of the poor concentrated in few countries, despite Nigeria's resources, rich status, more of the country's citizens are expected to sink into poverty by 2027, according to the World Bank Group. Tí wọ́n sọ fún wa pé even though pé gold ń bẹ ní Ọ̀ṣun state, even though pé oríṣiríṣi nǹkan ń bẹ ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá àti ilẹ̀ Ìgbò àti Middle Belt, ìyẹn ni pé kí ìwọ tó wò mí àtàwọn fámìlì wa pé ìyà ò ní jẹ wọ́n. This is contained in the World Bank Africa Pulse report that was released at the ongoing spring meetings of the IMF, International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank in Washington, D.C., the United States. Àwọn méjèèjì olórí burúkú ayé àtọ̀run ní IMF àti World Bank. If we do nothing, the consequence will be felt every day. According to Bretton Woods Institution, about 80% of the world estimated 695 million extreme poor resided in the region in 2024, compared to 8% in the South Asia, 2% in East Asia and the Pacific, 5% in the Middle Belt, in the Middle East and the North Africa, 3% in Latin America and the Caribbean. The organization stated that specifically for Nigeria and the Democratic Republic of Congo, two wealthy countries, from what we are told, yet they've not been able to fulfill their vision for their citizens since they have been called countries. So why do we then want to remain to have this country, knowing fully well that ìlú yóò fulfill our goals, desire, and making us a proud citizen? Whether the foundation was faulty, why do we want to keep it? It has failed. It is not likely to survive to make us a better people. Why then are we not pulling down the structure? Both classify as resources rich but fragile countries. Àwọn ìlú méjèèjì ní gbogbo nǹkan, àmọ́ àwọn nǹkan tó ní, àwọn nǹkan tí ẹ kọ́ máa fi tọ́jú aráàlú, àwọn aráàlú ò lè jàǹfààní ẹ̀. Poverty is now expected to increase in Nigeria by 3.6% between now and 2027. Importantly, poverty in resources-rich fragile countries, which include countries like Democratic Republic of Congo and Nigeria, is expected to increase by 3.6%, like I said earlier. Is that the kind of country you want to remain? That shows pé ìyàtọ̀ àṣì tọ́pọ̀ ń jà wọ́n yan wa. Child's play is just a very small percentage. We are likely to witness many more people that will end up not survive before 2027. Ṣé ogun ti wà nínú ilé with this information or not? Are we currently at war? Are we currently at war? Pẹ̀lú information pé by 2027 Nigerians will fall into poverty because ìlú tó ti ń ja ogun lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ gan tó ń pè ní Ukraine, wọ́n sì ní 3 square mil, iná ń ṣiṣẹ́, internet wà, even though there is bombardment in those countries up to Kiev, tó jẹ́ capital city Ukraine. Why then ni ọmọ Yorùbá tún ronú pé tí Tinubu bá wá lọ ṣe 2027 our eliminate poverty, knowing fully well that the poverty will not be eliminated? Bí ìgbà tó yẹ pé àràràn bọ́ǹbù òun là ń ṣe by helping Tinubu if we are telling him to go again for 2027. Because Tinubu going further to try to become the president again in 2027 will keep us again back in line with what he has done in his first tenure. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to make any impact. Because poverty on Ikuro. So trying to remain in this contraction, in the country, is like we are forcing ourselves to remain in abject poverty and also inside the insecurity. Odimeji, Hello program that was specific to the 390 Boko Haram that has now been told to return back to the society. So as we are dealing with poverty, we are dealing with the security threat. Odimeji. The third one is that if we refuse to push and allow the war of Nigeria to collapse, we will not be able to have our true identity. Tapping with our knee, Omo Oduani, Omo Yorubani, or whatever that some of you are calling and saying, what we need to do first is to pull down the structure, and then we can then decide the way forward. Mo wo video kan tó tag me, àwọn tó wà ní Mafoluku. I was wondering why the person tagged me on Facebook. I now saw my brothers and sisters, they keep hailing people. Etimoba àwọn tá máa ń pè ní ẹ̀gbọ́n àdúgbò. I don't want to use the word agbero. I'm trying to be very careful because I want to make them feel better. Normally, ó yẹ kí n lo language yẹn pé àwọn agbero. But we know those ẹ̀gbọ́n àdúgbò. They were hailing many people in that video. Pé kó má gbàgbé àwọn náà ní Mafoluku o, ebi ń pa wọn, kó jẹ́ kí oúnjẹ dọ́dọ̀ àwọn náà. And this has been the system in Yoruba land politics for the last 26 years. Àwọn kan kò fi sùn kó jí, and they want people to fund them by hailing them so that tó bá ju bí 2 million sínú bẹ́ẹ̀ ní 1 month, what expect pé tó bá tún the next month. All these individuals are not handicapped. Mo wo gbogbo wọn kò sẹ́ni tó wà handicapped. Kate sọ pé 1 or 2 of them are handicapped. These are people that should be producing and working hard and paying tax to the society. But work on Joko, what they hail and what don't hail, because one on lower a big pound. And I cry because this is the kind of politics that Tinubu create in Lagos State. Tinubu created a society that was not empowered for work ethics. They are not ready to work. So this set of people would have to be told that I need láti kúrò in this kind of structure la ṣe sọ pé a fẹ́ country. Lóòótọ́ oríṣiríṣi iṣẹ́ níyàn máa lè ṣe tó lè fi gba income wọlé, but sitting in the house on a daily basis ẹ wá ń hail àwọn kan pé ebi ń pa yín, that shows that àwọn tẹ́ ẹ̀ hail yẹn níbo ni káwọn ti rí owó tó máa fi tọ́jú ẹ̀yin láì ṣe bèbí. This is the society that Tinubu created for himself and his family within Lagos State, and also has been created by the others across the Southwest. Let's take a look at it. Politics kò ló yẹ kó máa fáwọn èèyàn ní owó within the society. Into ẹ kó fáwọn èèyàn lówó within a society are in many different forms and shape. And the government will then also be helping out. Bódà 16 hours ló lè ṣe and I'm just using, we might not go in that same direction, but in any society, the government can automatically see that, okay, for a reason known, ẹni yóò lè ṣe iṣẹ́ tó pọ̀ púpọ̀, owó tó jẹ kó gbà tó lè fi tọ́jú ìyàwó àtọmọ, àwa máa ràn lọ́wọ́ láti fi support ẹ̀, but kò ń ṣe pé kókò jókòó tatarata kó máa mu Guinness kó dóbò, ẹ má bínú fún language yẹn, that is what they do, kó fagbó, kó dẹ̀ máa expect pé ẹni tó wà ní local government ó gbọ́dọ̀ máa fún àwọn olówó, àwọn ọ̀dẹ̀ fi ṣiṣẹ́. Wọ́n wá tún jẹ́ kó yé wa nínú fídíò yẹn pé ṣọ́ mọ̀ pé àwọn wà lára àwọn tó ń deliver fún wọn tó bá dìgbà election. That is the society tí Jagaban create ní Lagos State. Kò ń ṣe Máfolúkù nìkan, it goes across the whole of Lagos State. Kò rí kankan create. Lóòótọ́ as the governor, nígbà tó jẹ́ governor, there's little he can do when it comes to industrialized Lagos. Ẹ jẹ́ ká kọ̀ kápẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ for argument's sake, even though he would have done more. But what he did was, owó tó yẹ kó fi tún life àwọn yẹn ṣe tó máa fi lè máa ríṣẹ́ ṣe, ó kápẹ̀, ó gbé sápò. Àwọn tó wá fún ní different junction, because that is what I've been told. What they have done in Lagos State is that what creates junction to junction, àwọn ọlọ́kadà. I don't want to live in a Yoruba land where people are driving Okada. Okada is not a mode of transportation. Neither is keke napel. In a civilized society, tí wọ́n dẹ̀ sọ fún wa pé a ti wà civilized, kó tó di pa àwọn òyìnbó dé, àwa ń gun ọ̀kadà ní agboolé ságboolé, ní àdúgbò sádúgbò, within the whole of Lagos State. Kò ń ṣe pé a lè ní planning to have a motorable roads and a system that has a good network tó lè gbé àwọn public from point A to point B. Àdẹ̀ tí wọ́n ní àwọn private investors tó máa invest láti lè máa generate the extra tó kù tí government ò lè ṣe. So èyí tẹ́ ń gbé ní Lagos State, for an example, including all the other states, kò ń ṣe ní politics nìkan ló yẹ kẹ́ ti rí owó. Ó jẹ́ kí owó wà lọ́wọ́ gbogbo yín tí ẹ̀yin máa jẹ́ ọ̀gá táwọn foreigners máa wà lábẹ́ yín. Kò ń ṣe ọmọ Chinese ló jẹ́ kó jẹ́ ọ̀gá lé yín lórí tó wọ́n ń ha owó fáwọn ọlọ́pàá tí gbogbo wa rí. Kò ń ṣe ọmọ Pakistan tí kò kàwé púpọ̀ ló yẹ kó máa ṣe ọ̀gá lé yín lórí. Kò dẹ̀ ń ṣe àwọn Lebanese ló jẹ́ kó jẹ gàba lé wa lórí. Àwọn kọ́ ló yẹ kó jẹ́ supplier. Àwa ló yẹ ká jẹ́ the main distributor. Tá máa máa supply àwọn tó máa wá gba ọjà lọ́wọ́ wa, táwa máa wá ní owó lọ́wọ́. Tí ẹ bá wá wù yín, ẹ lè fagbó, kẹdóbò, ẹ lè ṣe tó bá wù yín. But the fact that expect pé kí local government chairman ti Máfolúkù kó máa kówó wá fún yín níbi tẹ́ tí ń jókòó láì ṣiṣẹ́, that is the society that Nigeria has bred. And these are the obstacles that we are saying that we cannot afford to have this kind of society. Àfi tá bá ń parọ́ fúnra wa. Society yẹn kò ń ṣe society tó ń ṣiṣẹ́. Society tí ìgbẹ̀yìn ẹ máa ní àdánwò àti ìbànújẹ́ fún ẹ̀yin àti àwọn ọmọ yín tó ń bọ̀ lọ́la. Because àwọn ọmọ yín nísìn as an example, àwọn ọmọ yín as an example, òun ni ẹ, àwọn ọmọ yín as an example, ẹ lè mix it. Àwọn ọmọ yín as an example nísìn, they are struggling because àwọn tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn nísìn tí society bá ń ṣiṣẹ́ ẹ ní láti worry too much pé ta ló máa sanwó school àwọn ọmọ yín, at least tó máa fund ẹ̀ títí dé university. Government Yorùbá ló máa fund ẹ̀ látara tax tẹ́yìn náà bá ti lọ ṣiṣẹ́. Iṣẹ́ dẹ̀ pọ̀ tíyàn lè ṣe, there are many different jobs, but because the way the southwest has been it seems that àwọn èèyàn rò pé kò síṣẹ́ tó pọ̀. They are rail operators. tó bá jẹ́ pé ibi tí gbogbo Lagos State ó ń move train services tí kò ń ṣe ẹyọ kan tó kàn máa ṣiṣẹ́ fún ṣúkúṣúkúṣúkú tó jẹ́ pé train service tó jẹ́ pé tí bá wo aago nísìn pé mo lè sọ pé when is the next train going to Kwara State tí o dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé tó bá dé depot níbi tí o ti fẹ́ wọ̀ ní Lagos State á gbé ẹ dé Kwara lóòótọ́ but o gbọ́dọ̀ join train ẹ ní at 1600 hours or 1800 hours. Train service dẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ wà títí di at least up to bí 10 o'clock for cut off mark tó ṣe máa gbéyàn lọ ó lè jẹ́ bóyá every an hour. Iṣẹ́ nìyẹn because that is gonna create multiple jobs because gbogbo bí tí train track yẹn máa gbà kọjá títí dé Kwara State ó ń create iṣẹ́ because depot kọ̀ọ̀kan ló máa create for each of the station tí train yẹn máa gbà kọjá àtàwọn depot míì. Kí ni mo mean by depot? Àwọn engineer tó máa service train yẹn, àwọn engineer tó máa look at the fault and many things. That is one out of many jobs. So ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń sùn tẹ́ ń jí yẹn tẹ̀dẹ̀ lápá lọ́wọ́ tẹ̀lẹ́sẹ̀ tẹ̀lójú a máa láti retrain yín for whatever role. Kódà some of you could be a pilot tó jẹ́ pé ẹni tó lè wọ train tó jẹ́ pé plane ló fẹ́ wọ̀ láti Lagos lọ sí Kwara a mọ̀ pé o máa lọ join plane. ẹni tó bá tó wá náà fẹ́ drive ẹni tó bá náà fẹ́ drive you would also be able to drive from Lagos State all the way to Kwara. Ìyẹn wá mí pé o lè lọ ní anytime because ìwọ ló ní mọ́tò tiẹ̀ àbẹ́hùn tó jẹ́ bí night coach nírú ìtẹ́mi wọ̀ láti London tó já mi sílẹ̀ ní Scotland. That is a job. So why do you then have to wait for the local government chairman kó wá máa fund yín? Níbo ni local government chairman ti fẹ́ rówó tó máa fi fund yín? Corruption. So this is the system that Nigeria wants to be running, and you want us to accept it as that. That can no longer sustain us, and that is the reason why that's sọ pé ọ̀nà tó kù nísìn ni pé we break the wall and Yoruba exit Nigeria because Nigeria gangan ni ó ń dìbà future ẹ̀yìn yẹn. I am using Mafoluko because that is a video that was tagged. This is replicated like that to every communities across Yoruba land. Some people cannot eat until politicians send them money through their phone. Or kọ́ni kọ́ gbóúnjẹ lọ fún wọn. Or kọ́ni wọ́n ti gbé búrẹ́dì wá, wọ́n há búrẹ́dì níbẹ̀ yẹn. Yoruba land is a big place. That's number one. That means pé kò ń ṣe dandan ni pé ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ wà involved in the politics to survive because you will be an establishment of your own tó máa making many activities within the country. Right now that is not also happening in Nigeria. Àwọn olóṣèlú mọ̀ pé tó bá develop ilẹ̀ Yorùbá for 26 years ní any reason láti máa lọ bí wọ́n fún anything. Ní any reason to be asking them for anything because interfere lọ bí wọ́n they've already done it for you. But 26 years I believe is more than enough to stop the shenanigans and the lies of these politicians across the Southwest. But bí bàbá àṣà Shesolana, do not think that people will listen to what I'm saying. Tẹ́ bá rò pé gbogbo tí mo sọ yìí nísìn bó ṣe dùn tó lẹ́nu àwọn kan máa gbọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ pé torí ẹ̀ pé ká join Yoruba Nation. They are not going to join Yoruba Nation. Kódà there are millions of Yoruba people waiting to revolt back Tinubu to office in 2027. Tàbá fi àyè yẹn sílẹ̀ fún wọn. Tàbá fi àyè sílẹ̀ pé ká sùn káwa kọ́ máa sùn ká máa ó dáa tí ká ti parí iṣẹ́ wọn ò ní dìbò ní 2027. Trust me, àwọn ìyá, àwọn ọmọdé, àwọn bàbá, àgbàlagbà wàá tún lọ queue because dìbò, even though in the austerity tó wà lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ nísìn, because Tinubu máa kówó síta, òun mọ géèmù yẹn dáadáa, náwó lòun, ó mọ weak point gbogbo state, ó mọ àwọn ọba tí wọ́n máa bribe ahead of the election tó máa kó dọ́là lọ fún wọn, àwa kó náírà fún wọn, dọ́là yẹn ni tàwọn ọba, àwọn ọba ò fẹ́ gba náírà, dọ́là ló máa ń gbà látàyé Abacha ni bọ́n ṣe máa ń gbà nìyẹn nínú Ghana must go, olójú kòkòrò ni gbogbo àwọn yẹn, àwọn náà lọ pa Abiola. So Tinubu máa lo owó tí ó ti ráyè extract nísìn, because ó ti extract owó dáadáa from the federal government coffer. Tẹ́lẹ̀ owó Lagos ló ń ná, ó ti wá ní extra money nísìn nítorí pé ó ti mọbi tí owó wọlé sí within, as a president ó mọbi tí owó wọlé sí láàrin government. Ó dẹ̀ ti fi àwọn key actors síbẹ̀, Wálé Ẹdùn àti èyí tó ń ṣe mineral resources minister tó jẹ́ commissioner for commissioner for minister bíi kíní kan Tinubu, màá rántí orúkọ ẹ̀ nísìn, he is the minister for mineral resources ní Nigeria. Àtẹ̀gbọ́n yẹn mọ́, ó ti go quiet, gbogbo wọn yẹn bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn, right, they are all agents of Tinubu. Dele Alake, the Minister of Solid Mineral Development, Dele Alake, gbogbo bí tí Tinubu ti máa rí owó tó fẹ́ fi fund election 2027 nìyẹn. Àwọn ò nírú owó táwọn olóṣèlú ìgbédání sọ́wọ́. We don't have it. We cannot compete with them monetary wise. But what we can do, we can slow their agenda of 2027 by pushing out this year. Ara de máa ta Tinubu, ẹgbọ́rọ̀ ìdáadáa, ó máa react, because ó mọ̀ pé this time around influence Yorùbá nation tó lò tó fi wọlé ní the last time kò ní lè rí lò this time around, because nígbà tá à ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn nígbà yẹn pé ẹ má jẹ́ kí Tinubu pé ọmọ ìlẹ̀kẹ̀ kan wọ́n gbé sídìí ìlẹ̀kẹ̀ kan kó má bàa já, ọmọ wa ni ẹ jẹ́ kó lọ ṣe. Àwọn tá sọ fún pé ẹ má lọ vote kọ́ la need nísìn, wọ́n ní àwa against Tinubu. Tinubu dẹ̀ tí wọ́n sọ fún àwọn northerners that look, option tó wà nísìnyí o, ṣe gbọ́ pé bàbá Akíntóyè àti Ìgbòho wọ́n pariwo Yorùbá nation, èmi ló kàn nígbà tó lọ sábẹ́kúta, níbẹ̀ ni èmi ló kàn ti jáde pé ẹ jẹ́ kí n ṣe kémi náà rọra ṣe tèmi bí Buhari ká lè lẹ́bùlẹ̀. Now àwọn tí Tinubu jọ ṣe nígbà yẹn, àwọn tí wọ́n ti ń break structure APC yẹn mọ́ lọ́wọ́, but Tinubu náà bọ́ ṣe ń break ẹ̀ mọ́ lọ́wọ́, ó ń ronú kí lòun máa ṣe láti fi build the gap yẹn, because Tinubu ò lè rí total number votes tó rí ní 2023 ní not again, kò lè ever rí vote number yẹn mọ́, even tí Buhari bá support ẹ̀. Buhari nísìnyí ó ń play devil advocate, ọmọ Fúlàní, ó ń ga Tinubu síwájú pé òun sì wà lára APC, whereas behind the scene pẹ̀lú àwọn mọ́lá ẹgbẹ́, àwọn Fúlàní ẹgbẹ́ àti Sultan, wọ́n ń sọ fún àwọn northerners pé Yorùbá kọ́ ló kàn mọ́ báyìí o. But Tinubu máa lo gbogbo agídí tó ní, kò ń ṣe pé ní strategy kankan. Strategy ti Tinubu ni pé ó máa ń dáwó síta, tó bá dẹ̀ ti dáwó síta, that means pé southwest nìkan lẹ ti lè control vote. Tó bẹ́ẹ̀ kẹ́ lọ sí north, ẹ̀yin agbèrò Tinubu, ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń support Tinubu, kẹ́ lọ bá wọn da ìbò rú lọ́hùn, wá pa gbogbo yín lọ́hùn pátá, ní wálé. Àwọn Fúlàní yẹn máa pa gbogbo yín pátá, because wọ́n mọ game tí Tinubu lè gbà, but Tinubu ló sì wà in control of the INEC, and àwọn tọ́jọ́ ń gbá game yẹn, tọ́jọ́ ń yí nọ́mbà nínú INEC, wọ́n mọ tí Tinubu lè ṣe pẹ̀lú ọ̀rọ̀ INEC, before the end of the year Tinubu máa yọ INEC chairman yẹn Yakubu because kò gbọdọ̀ trusted. So kí ni mo ń tọ́ láti fàyọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni pé ẹ má jẹ́ kí ọ̀rọ̀ Tinubu yìí kó tún jẹ́ obstacle fún àwa tá a fẹ́ exit Nàìjíríà. Àwa la gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ kó jẹ́ pé àwa la máa jẹ́ obstacle fún Tinubu kó tún náà lọ dìbò ní 2027. A gbọ́dọ̀ sọ fún pé face me I face you. In tó bá fẹ́ ṣe fún ìran Yorùbá ó jẹ́ kó ti ṣe. O ní the second term àbẹ́ ẹja but tó bá jẹ́ pé a máa wojú ara wa ni o lè gbé láyé yìí for 30 years. Gbogbo oògùn tó bá ṣe fún Tinubu ní anywhere in the world kò lè dàgbà tó more than 30 years more age. It will be 108 years. Kódà tó bá ṣì wà láyé a máa sa sóòrùn ni. Kódà by that time ó ṣeé ṣe kó nǹkan ti máa gbàdúrà pé kíkú wa mú òun lọ torí pé kí ló fẹ́ máa ṣe láyé for 108 years. Ṣẹja ló fẹ́ máa jẹ ni, ẹran ló fẹ́ máa jẹ ni, gbogbo oúnjẹ tó bá máa jẹ ní that time wọ́n gbọ́dọ̀ ti lọ bíbà tó lọ omi kó máa feed ẹ̀. So why should we sacrifice Tinubu for 2027 láti put impediment to our life? Ẹ jẹ́ ká fojú kan Tinubu kájọ fojú kanra wa ní gbogbo southwest tó ń sọ pé òun lòun dominate yẹn. Ẹ jẹ́ ká fi ọmọ kan wọ́n pé in tó sọ pé ó ní southwest yẹn bí a bàbá ńlá ẹ̀ ló ní southwest ni kí gbogbo àjọ kó ká kúkú jọ wọ ṣòkòtò kan náà. The only way we can stop him is that Tinubu will go for 2027. He will rig himself in, but ó máa dá ogun sílẹ̀. Ẹ gbọ́ mi dáadáa. Ọ̀nà kan tó kù tá fi lè rescue Tinubu fúnra rẹ̀ torí pé òun wọ́n ti need the rescue báyìí. But ṣe rí intoxication of power àtàwọn tó ń tẹ̀lé àwọn Bísí Àkàndé àwọn bàbá burúkú yẹn àwọn bàbá òfò àwọn bàbá tó yẹ kó ti jásìrì kó ti kú dànù tó ò fẹ́ kú. Àwọn sì máa sọ fún Tinubu pé ṣọmọ tó ṣẹlẹ̀ nísìnyí pé gbá géèmù yẹn wọlé títí di 2027 tó bá ti gba wọlé restructure Nàìjíríà kólúkálukú dẹ̀ máa bá tiẹ̀ lọ. Irọ́ ni o. Ọmọ olójú ọdẹ tẹ̀ ń rí ẹ ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórí Facebook ẹ̀ ń rí picture wà lẹ́yìn mi. Ó máa ṣe àkóbá àdábá fún ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. So ó bẹ́tà bó bá já wa 10,000 people la máa jáde ẹ jẹ́ ká jẹ́ 10,000 yẹn ká múra dáadáa ká dẹ̀ jáde. Bàbá Akíntóyè ò gbọ́dọ̀ tún pẹ́ mọ́ ju bó ṣe yẹ lọ kó declare rally. Mo ń bẹ̀ yín wa. Hello. Hold on. Yo. Hello. Hold on. Ẹ̀yin yan wa ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà nílẹ̀ kò ń ṣe pé gbọgbọ́n. We face it and we exit, or we remain and we suffer. Ìkànnì méjèèjì ni. No, that's a good morning. Ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ gbọ́ yìí. Mo kí ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa káàkiri gbogbo ibi tí ẹ ti ń gbọ́ wa.
títí dé wọn ni mi sí ìjọba mò ń lọ ń dá sí nǹkan tí ó kàn mí ṣùgbọ́n tó kàn mí mo dá sí lórúkọ ọmọ Yorùbá ni mí. Bí ìjọba bá wà tí ò ṣe ẹ̀tọ́ tó yẹ kó ṣe fún aráàlú tí wọ́n dìbò fún tó jẹ́ ìjọba lé lórí, tíjọba bá wà tí ààbò bá sí fún aráàlú tó olóòṣè ìjọba lé lórí, aráàlú dìde fúnra ẹ̀. kí ṣe pé mo pàṣẹ àbí mo dédé pàṣẹ àbí mo sọ kan tí ó wá látọkàn mi. Nǹkan tó fa ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ni wípé ẹ̀yin náà wò láti bí ijọ́ mélòó kan sí bí ọ̀sẹ̀ bíi méjì sí nípa ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn Fúlàní tó wà ní gbogbo Ìbàràpá. Ẹ worú dókítà wa Dr. Fatai, PhD doctor, ọmọ Yorùbá, ó kàwé tó gboyè, ó wá lọ sí òyìnbó ní àìníye ọdún ọlọ ṣiṣẹ́, ó wá dé okòwò dé, ó wá lọ lu bàbá ẹ̀ ní dandan, ó dá oko àgbàdo, ẹ̀gẹ́, iṣu, oríṣiríṣi nǹkan tó yá bẹ́ẹ̀, ó dẹ̀ gba ọmọ wa ní gbọ̀ngàn bẹ́ẹ̀ náà síbẹ̀ rẹpẹtẹ wọ́n bá ṣiṣẹ́. Fúlàní wa jẹ oko ẹ̀, ó wá gbéra láti lọ bá àwọn Fúlàní yìí sọ̀rọ̀, láti lọ bá Sẹ́ríkì Fúlàní pé ẹ wá wo ohun tí àwọn ọmọ yìí ṣe lórí oko mi kò ẹ kú rí báyìí lórí ilẹ̀ bàbá mi. Wọ́n dẹ̀ dé lókun bẹ́ẹ̀ náà, wọ́n dẹ̀ sàpà. Àìmọye yẹn bẹ́ẹ̀ tá a lè morúkọ wọn làwọn Fúlàní yìí bẹ́ lórí tí wọ́n pa wọ́n jí àwọn kan gbé, ẹni tó bá gbowó tó kéré lọ́wọ́ rẹ̀ wọ́n gba 7 million, wọ́n gba 10 million.
Ẹ má bínú dá lórí YouTube.
Lórí ilẹ̀ bàbá wa ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn dùn mí, ó bà mí lọ́kàn jẹ́ gan. Tá a bá torí pé tó Ọlọ́run gbà.
À ń bọ̀ lọ́dọ̀ bàbá wa padà, olóyè Ìgbòho ọmọdé yẹn mọ́. Sherry, we are at the final straw of this movement, and if either we complete it once and for all, or we just abandon it. Tá bá ń bẹ̀rù pé n tí Tinubu máa ṣe àmọ́, tá bá ń bẹ̀rù pé n tí federal government máa ṣe àmọ́, and that's the reason why tí a ṣe fẹ́ move to the last part of this movement. Tinubu fúnra rẹ̀ gan mọ̀ tí ó máa ṣẹlẹ̀ sí ààrẹ nígbà tó nǹkan sá kúrò Nàìjíríà, but ó survive ẹ̀, ó padà dé, ó di gómìnà, Ọlọ́run dẹ̀ kẹ́ dáadáa, ó rí owó tó pọ̀, ó rí owó yẹn legally ni, ó rí ní illegally ni, ó dẹni tí owó burúkú wà lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀. Owó tó ń bẹ lọ́wọ́ Tinubu lẹ́ni kò ń sọ̀rọ̀ owó kékeré rárá, owó tó ò lè ná tán for a very long time lówó tó ń bẹ lọ́wọ́ Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu. Owó ti wà lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀, gbogbo ibi tó dẹ̀ ti rówó yẹn náà inú Lagos State ni, no other place more than Lagos State. Níbẹ̀ ló ti generate owó tó rí lẹ́ni. Ẹ má bínú because kọ̀ọ̀kan wọlé lẹ́ẹ̀kan ni, so mo máa record padà again because I couldn't continue that recording, and tó bá tún padà wá again we will do what we can do to see. Lórí ìkànnì Koiki Media náà láṣìwà lórí program wa ní VN wa tá à ń record èní ní 25/4/2025 at exactly 10 minutes past 5 p.m. This part of this conversation òun gangan ní ojú àgbà mi program wa lọ́sàn-án yìí. Ṣafẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́ dé àbọ̀ àbáfẹ́ parí ẹ̀, kò ń sọ̀rọ̀ bàbá Akíntóyè àti Ìgbòho, ọ̀rọ̀ gbogbo wa lélẹ̀. Tí a bá dúró fún every Yoruba sons and daughters pé kó accept pé kí Yorùbá kó gba country, àní gba country yẹn rárá. Àní gba country rárá. We will end up not even having any close to the country, not to talk about the country itself. Okay, ẹ ṣé gan ni bàbá mi, wọ́n ní alright, ẹ má bínú. Ó yẹ wá gbà ó. Let me pause this. Come back to that one. Number 11. ẹ̀yin dà. So in tí mò ń fẹ́ fàyọ ni pé in tí mò ń fàyọ bọ̀ ṣe rí the only obstacle tí a máa face to finalize this movement ẹni tó máa jẹ́ the bulk of the obstacle òun ni Jagaban Tinubu. Tinubu will be put under enormous pressure. Ẹ má bínú pé mo lo òyìnbó pẹ̀lú Yorùbá because òyìnbó yẹn òun ni ó fẹ́ drive Yorùbá yẹn jáde. Ó máa wà ní pressure gan láti stop pé kí Nàìjíríà kò break ní wákàtí. Kò ń ṣe pé àwọn náà mọ̀ pé Nàìjíríà gbọ́dọ̀ pín but wọ́n máa fi Tinubu sí pressure pé kò gbọ́dọ̀ allow ẹ̀ kó ṣẹlẹ̀ nísìn. Ṣé rí gbogbo trip tí Tinubu ń lọ tó ń bọ̀ yẹn àwọn France àtàwọn kankan wọ́n fún ní gbogbo reason tí Nàìjíríà gbọ́dọ̀ pín o. Nàìjíríà gbọ́dọ̀ pín mọ́ ẹ lọ́wọ́ o. Gbogbo tó bá lè ṣe gbogbo tó bá mọ̀ tì síta nísìnyí o. Ìdí dẹ̀ ni pé wọ́n ti rí capability tí a ti ṣe láti 2019 wọ́n ti review ẹ̀ wọ́n ti study ẹ̀ wọ́n ti rí pé the chances pé ọmọ Yorùbá 10,000 as an argument wọ́n ti mọ̀ pé wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe Nàìjíríà mọ̀ ṣẹ́dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé in tí 10,000 people bá dúró lé lórí páwọn ọ̀gbà a máa bí mọ̀ sí ni òun ni numbers of the people lóòótọ́ numbers yẹn kò wà in a very fast pace nítorí àwọn different obstacles tá à ń face láàrin méjì ẹ̀ yàtọ̀ sáwọn tó yapa àwọn tó yapa kúrò láàrin wa gan sì believe pé Yorùbá gbọ́dọ̀ lọ wọ́n ṣe pé wọ́n gbà pé kí Yorùbá kó má lọ but wọ́n kò accept Baba Akintoye as their leader anymore ìyẹn àwọn tó yapa so àwọn tó yapa yẹn kọ́ là ń sọ mọ́ nísìn àwọn tó tẹ̀ tí accept tó sì wà nínú Nàìjíríà wọ́pọ̀ tí a bá wá ń sọ nísìn pé kí ló kù tá a máa fi gba country kí ni the last part a fẹ́ ṣe tí Yorùbá nation yẹn máa fi di reality because in tó lè fi di reality ni pé mo ti sọ tẹ́lẹ̀ many times kò ń ṣe gbogbo tá à ń ṣe lórí social media yìí tá a bá ti na flag sí gbogbo ilẹ̀ Yorùbá pé flag Yorùbá ó wà embedded tó raise tí flag Nàìjíríà wálẹ̀ ó máa wálẹ̀ either on a very peaceful way or the other way round ìyẹn kù sí government lọ́wọ́ tá a bá ti gbé débẹ̀ ẹ gbọ́ mi dáadáa gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń gbọ́ program mi àtẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń gbọ́ VN yìí tá a bá ti gbé ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation débi pé a lè na flag sókè a gba country o àìtí gba country o àìtí gba country o gbogbo nta kan ṣe ni pé a ṣe ń palẹ̀ mọ́ pé ká gba country yẹn but tó bá wá jẹ́ pé a fẹ́ really gba country yẹn tí a dẹ̀ wà determine tí a dẹ̀ ti ṣe tán bí a ṣe ń sọ yìí tí a ready pé whatever tó bá fẹ́ ṣẹlẹ̀ good or bad we will face the consequence and it will lead to a country but a bá ṣe ń accept pé àmọ́ tó lè ṣẹlẹ̀ a dẹ̀ ṣe ń fi ìbẹ̀rù sọ́kàn nítorí pé à ń wò pé tó bá ṣẹlẹ̀ kí ló tún máa ṣẹlẹ̀ tó bá ṣẹlẹ̀ kí ló máa ṣẹlẹ̀ àwa là ń worry too much ẹ jẹ́ káwọn yẹn worry ẹ má yẹ káwa worry nípa yẹn because àwa làwa fẹ́ gba country àwọn làwọn náà wọ́n fẹ́ country then ẹni tí ó máa fẹ́ make sure pé àgbà country òun ẹni tó jẹ́ president orí oyè because tó bá jẹ́ pé ó fẹ́ gba country yẹn lóòótọ́ pé kí country yẹn kó dissolve kò ń ṣe àwa nìkan là ń béèrè fún Yorùbá nation àbí là ń béèrè fún country báwa ṣe ń béèrè àwọn ẹ̀yà tó kù náà ń béèrè ìjọ ń béèrè Haúsá gan ń béèrè ó jẹ́ kí Tinubu ti máa put àwọn committee tó máa engage àwọn tí wọ́n náà wọ́n fẹ́ kúrò ní Nàìjíríà ṣe mọ̀ pé tó bá yẹ pé ó engage right kò mí pé ó accept bàbá Akíntóyè ti sọ ọ̀rọ̀ yìí rí pé kò ń ṣe dandan pé kí Tinubu kó accept pé ká lọ but ó lè engage wa ìtàn pè ní democracy nìyẹn but the fact that Tinubu ò tẹ̀ engage wa rárá kò dẹ̀ engage àwọn Biafra because kódà òun là ń gbọ́ pọ́n náà fẹ́ gbé Simon Ekpa wálé Tinubu dẹ̀ ti yé wa ó ti jẹ́ kó yé wa mo kà fún wa ní program ti Simon Ekpa ẹ lọ gbọ́ program yẹn dáadáa ó sọ síbẹ̀ pé ọ̀rọ̀ pé Nàìjíríà fẹ́ pín kò tẹ̀ sínú picture rárá so now ṣé Tinubu yẹn la wá ń dúró dè pé ó máa go in line pẹ̀lú pé kí Nàìjíríà kó pín ṣé torí pé òun jẹ́ Yorùbá wọ́n kọ́lẹ̀kùn hello mo pọ̀rọ̀ tí mo sọ yé wa tó bá yé wa ẹ jẹ́ kí n mọ̀ nínú comment section. We are at the final part of this movement, but it is entirely up to us to make it reality or we fail altogether. Ọlọ́run níjà fail o. Àti gbìyànjú. I'm going to end the broadcast because Ola kankan tó fi wá ṣe níbí báyìí. So I'll leave the broadcast for now. We'll come back probably maybe later. Mo kí wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí a pàdé later nígbà tí a bá máa continue program yìí mo kí gbogbo wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí odò àgbèwà kò ní gbé ọ̀dàlẹ̀ Yorùbá nation no going back. Thank you very much.